Level 1. The Spark. Late evening, the room is dimly lit, only the screen shining cold blue light into your face. You're sitting, slightly hunched, wearing headphones that have been taped back together a couple of times. The microphone is cheap. Sometimes it buzzes, but you don't care. You press the go live button, and for a moment you freeze. Silence. You stare at the screen's 0 viewers. But inside, it's not empty. Quite the opposite. There's a strange feeling there, like you've just taken a step into some new life. Uncertain but significant. You start talking, a little awkwardly, slightly faster than usual, trying to sound like the streamers you watch yourself. Sometimes you stumble, sometimes you laugh for no reason just to fill the silence. You keep glancing at the viewer, count 0, 0, still 0, but you don't turn it off. In your head, images, your chat flying by, donations popping up, people typing your name. You picture yourself a couple of months from now with your own style, your own audience, your own vibe. It all feels like it's just around the corner. You just have to start. You go live again the next day, and again and again. Sometimes one person drops in. You instantly perk up. Your voice gets more energetic. Your movements more confident. You try to keep them there, like everything depends on it, and in a way it does. You learn as you go. How to set up the sound. How to stop staring at yourself the whole time. How to keep talking when no one responds. It's a strange state, speaking into the void while genuinely believing that one day there will be people there. You don't think about the difficulty, about the competition, about how long it's going to take. You don't carry that weight. For now, there's only the feeling of a beginning, a light flutter of nerves, pure motivation, and one simple thought: I can do this too. Level 2. Collision with reality. A few weeks have passed, maybe a month. You're no longer the person who pressed go live for the first time with trembling hands. Now everything happens almost on autopilot. You start the stream, check the audio, the lighting, the scene, familiar motions. But inside, something has changed. The screen is shining in your face again. Only now you stare at it a little longer before you start talking. 1 viewer, then 0 again. You know this feeling already. It's no longer new, it's starting to irritate you. You try to do better, you buy a better microphone, you read tips, watch guides, redesign your layout. You try to sound more confident, joke more often, be more interesting. Sometimes you even rewatch your own streams and catch yourself thinking, who even is that? And still, almost nothing changes. You drop into other people's streams, you watch their chats move, people laughing, reacting, sticking around. Some of them are playing the same games, running a similar format, but there's life. And where you are, silence. And it starts to weigh on you. You compare constantly. You watch the numbers. You count the days. Sometimes you talk into the void not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. A strange tension appears, like you need to prove something, but you can't quite figure out who you're trying to prove it to. You catch yourself thinking, maybe I'm just not the right person for this. And in that moment, it goes quiet. Not just on the stream, but inside too. But you go live again anyway, with a little less enthusiasm, with a little more expectation, with a faint irritation you try to hide even from yourself. You still believe, but not as easily as before. Level 3. The first signal. An ordinary day. You start the stream without any particular expectation. The charge you had at the beginning is gone. It's more of a habit now, a ritual. You sit down, adjust the microphone, toss a quick glance at the preview, and hit start. And suddenly, the chat isn't empty. First one person, then a second. You don't even register what's happening right away. Someone is typing your username directly to you, not into a general chat, not into the void, to you. And for a moment you freeze. You catch that feeling like someone spotted you in a crowd. You respond somewhat cautiously, and they respond back. A conversation, a real one. Short may be awkward, but it's there. And in that moment, something shifts inside you. You start streaming differently. No longer into the void, but as though there are actually people in front of you. Not many, but they're there. You catch yourself smiling not out of habit, but because you're genuinely engaged. The counter slowly creeps upward. 3, 4, sometimes 5. It seems like a small thing, but to you, it's enormous. You start noticing patterns. Which moments land better? Where you sound more alive? When people stick around longer? You're no longer just streaming. You're beginning to feel the process, and with that comes a cautious belief. This might actually work. You invest more. Slightly better lighting, slightly cleaner layout, a little more time on preparation. No longer just turn it on and go, but with the thought, how do I make today better than yesterday? But there's still no stability. One day, a lively chat, a sense of momentum. The next, near silence again, and it swings you. Up, down, hope, doubt. But the difference is that now you've already seen what it can look like, and going back to zero is something you no longer want. You keep going, no longer running on the pure enthusiasm, but on the feeling that you've touched something real. Level 4. Control. You no longer press. Go live on emotion. Now it's a decision. Deliberate. Almost cold. Before the stream, you already know what you're going to do. What time you'll start. Which game. What format. You have a plan. Maybe not on paper, but in your head it's clear. You no longer rely on chance. You sit down, check the audio. Not by ear, but by the level meter. The lighting is set up in advance. The scene is configured. Everything looks neat, composed. You hit start without hesitating, and you start talking immediately. No awkwardness, no attempt to warm up. You're already inside the process. The chat moves. Not fast, but steadily. The same usernames, familiar ones. Someone drops in almost every stream. Someone starts typing within the first few minutes, and you remember them, not just by their username, by the way they write, the way they joke, the way they react. These are no longer random viewers. These are your people. You can feel what works. You know when to pick up the pace, when to go quiet, when to drop a line that'll land. This isn't a beginner's instinct, it's a skill. You start taking the streams more seriously. Where before you could skip a day without thinking twice, now there's a tension inside, I can't go dark. Because you know, people are watching, waiting, getting used to you. You build a rhythm, days, times, consistency, and within that rhythm comes a strange sense of control. Like you're no longer drifting with the current, but holding a course. Not perfectly, but consciously. Sometimes you catch yourself noticing that you've become a different person on stream. More confident, calmer, more precise with your words. You think less about how you look and more about what you're giving. But with that comes a different kind of weight. This is no longer just a hobby. This is already a responsibility. You understand if you stop, everything will start to fall apart. And for the first time through all of this, what matters to you is no longer just moving forward, but not losing what you've already built. Level 5. Pressure. You start the stream, and now it's no longer just a few familiar usernames. There are more of them, a lot more. The chat moves faster, messages fly by, and sometimes you can't keep up with all of it. Not long ago, this felt like a dream. Now, it's the norm, and with it comes a feeling you've never had before. Pressure. You can no longer just give it a try. Every stream is a performance. People don't show up by accident. They show up for you. They already have expectations. They like a specific version of you. Your style, your pace, your energy. And you start catching yourself thinking, what if today doesn't go well? You sit down before the stream and no longer feel that lightness. Thoughts are spinning in your head. You're planning how to hold attention, how not to drop off, how not to let a single second of silence creep in. You start controlling yourself, how you speak, how you react, where the joke lands, where the pause goes. Sometimes it works perfectly. You feel the flow. Everything goes the way it should. The chat is alive, reactions are coming in, you're inside the process, like you're on a stage where everything is under control. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you read the chat and realize you can't feel it. That words are coming out but not landing. That you're somehow playing the role of yourself, just slightly worse than usual. And in those moments, a coldness settles inside you. Because now there's something to lose. The numbers are no longer just numbers. They grow, and you get used to them. Then they dip slightly, and it hits harder than it ever did before. You start tracking analytics, comparing streams, looking for where you fell off. Every mistake becomes visible. A joke that didn't land, a dull moment, an uneven stream. You start feeling the weight of every decision. And yet, you keep going. Because this is no longer just a journey. This is a level where you can no longer afford to be careless. You hold the bar. Sometimes by force, sometimes through exhaustion, sometimes simply because you have to. And in that constant tension, you understand for the first time. Success is not only about growth, it's also about the ability to withstand it. Level 6. The game gets big. You're no longer alone. You feel it the moment you open your desktop. It's no longer just OBS and a game. Now there's a moderated chat alongside it. Spreadsheets, notes, a schedule, content ideas. You have people helping. Someone monitors the chat. Someone cuts clips. Someone messages you. That worked, that didn't. You've become the center of a system, and it's turning. You start the stream, and everything is already set up in advance. Announcements went out. People are waiting. The chat is already moving before the stream even begins. You walk in, and you're not walking into a void like before. You're stepping into a current that's already alive, and that's a different level of responsibility. Now, it's not only about you. Every decision you make affects others. If you cancel a stream, it's not just today didn't work out. It's a breakdown for everyone. You start thinking bigger. Not just how to run a stream, but how to sustain interest over weeks. Not just what to say, but where all of this is going. You analyze, you build, you test formats. You make mistakes, but no longer chaotically, more like you're running experiments. Money comes in more regularly. Numbers grow, partnerships, offers, opportunities. For the first time, you feel like this might be more than just a hobby. This is already a business, a serious one, but alongside the growth comes overload. Your day no longer ends when the stream does. After it, there's a review, replies, planning. Your head is constantly occupied. Even when you're not live, you're still in the process. You catch yourself sometimes just wanting silence. No chat, no expectations, no need to be switched on. But stopping is hard, and because scale is not only opportunity, it's momentum. The bigger everything gets, the harder it becomes to stop or slow down. You can no longer just take a break and think. Everything is moving too fast, and you move along with it. You become sharper in your decisions, harder on yourself, calmer on the outside, but inside, a new feeling appears. You're no longer chasing anyone, you're holding it together and steering it. And you understand that what's ahead will be even harder. Level 7, the cost. You start the stream and everything looks perfect. The lighting, calibrated. The audio, clean. The chat, alive from the very first seconds. Donations coming in without pause, people writing, joking, arguing, saying thank you. Your name is no longer just a username, it's recognition. You look at all of it and realize you made it. To a place that was once hard to even imagine. But inside, it's quieter than it's ever been. You talk, you react, you smile at the right moments. Everything works, polished, almost effortlessly, like a machine you spent years building. And that's exactly what's starting to frighten you. Because more and more often you catch yourself thinking, you know how to put on a good stream, but you don't always know whether you want to. Before, every broadcast was a step forward. Now, it's holding your position. You look at the chat and see not just people, but expectations. An enormous amount of expectations. They want the version of you they've grown used to. And you deliver it, consistently, precisely. But sometimes, a strange feeling surfaces, like you're trapped inside your own role. You turn off the stream. The screen goes dark. The room becomes ordinary again. Quiet. And it's here that the exhaustion hits. The kind that's invisible during the broadcast. Deep, heavy, not physical, internal. You understand how much you left behind along the way. How much time, how much energy, how many moments that passed you by while you were in the process. And for the first time, you ask yourself a question without rushing. Was all of this worth it? The answer doesn't come right away, because on the outside, everything you ever dreamed of. And on the inside, different questions already. You look ahead and realize, there's no obvious next level, no clear staircase, only a choice. Keep going. Change the format. Slow down, or step out of this cycle altogether. And this is the hardest moment. Not because it's difficult to keep moving, but because for the first time, you don't know exactly where to go next.